Tinder isn't just used by the youngest generation. Hey, welcome to Online for Love, your #1 resource for dating by the numbers. Today we're going to be going over an online dating app called Tinder, but more specifically we're going to be going over how you can find yourself dates with cougars on this app. So before we get into all this though, I do need to tell you guys about our Tinder 101 Hub. Our Tinder 101 Hub consists of 70 plus articles that give you the information needed in order to master Tinder. And another indispensable necessity is our Tinder opening line formula. Using the Tinder opening line formula, we've discovered that users have received 3 times the response rate that they had before. You can find all these necessities in the links in the bio down below, along with our online dating app quiz and more. So in order to make this review a bit easier to comprehend, I've broken it down into these 4 sections. The first of which is what is a cougar, how to lure cougars on Tinder, the basics of communication, and some more tips. So before we get into the first section, I do need to tell you guys to be sure you are hitting like and subscribe. Seriously, it really does help push our videos out so that more users can utilize this information from us here at Online for Love. We super duper appreciate it. So this is going to move me on to number 1 on my list, which is what is a cougar? So cougars are typically defined as mature straight women who are seeking out younger men, typically for hookups, but it can also be for serious relationships as well. Now the age gap difference is usually 10 years or longer, but the important factor is that the man is notably younger than the woman that they are going to hook up or date with. Now just because the woman is older than the man doesn't mean that they look a certain way. They are typically taking care of themselves and look very attractive. And as I said, most of these women are not seeking serious relationships. They're typically just looking for flings, and they're not typically just looking for men who are younger than them. They're also looking for men who are very physically fit as well. So this is going to move me onto number 2 on my list, but before we jump into that, I do need to tell you guys about our online dating website quiz. Our online dating website quiz is a quiz that is going to ask you exactly what you're looking for in an online dating website. And at the end of that quiz, it's going to let you know what the perfect online dating website is for you personally. So this is going to move me into number 2 on my list, which is how to lure cougars on Tinder. So while you can find cougars out in the wild, and I'm talking about at bars or at clubs or something like that, it's not always likely that you're going to find them. But on Tinder, it's pretty much guaranteed, especially if you're in a city. But there are certain tactics that you can utilize on Tinder that can up your chances of her seeing you rather than you having to be lucky and have her seek you out. So of course, when you do sign up for Tinder, you do give your age, and most likely Tinder is going to automatically set that age range to somewhere that's similar to your age range as well. So when you do that, you're not going to be finding girls or women who are older than you. So in order to fix that, you can of course go into your age settings on Tinder and expand the age settings up so that you are going to match with more women who are in those categories. However, that doesn't mean that all of those women are looking for men who are younger than them as well. So what can you do to cheat the system a little bit? Well, you can actually lie about your age on Tinder and say that you're 10 or 15 years older than you actually are when you do sign up, and then explain in your bio that you are actually 10 to 15 years younger than your age says on Tinder, but you are looking for an older woman to have a fling or a serious date with, whatever it is that interests you. Do know that there can be a risk with this though, because I did this and Tinder actually noticed and deleted my account or age restricted it unless I uploaded an ID. And so if you do lie about your age and your name when doing something like this, the only way around it is to upload your ID, and you can't really do that if you lied about your name and your age. Utilizing this method is going to show all users that you're interested in that age range by default. So that means that if they aren't seeking users who are 10 to 15 years younger than them, you're going to show up in their feed anyway. Of course, here you can also utilize everything that Tinder has to offer, and I'm talking about utilizing top picks and super likes or signing up for the gold or platinum membership. But outside of that, once you do make a match with these people, the next thing that's going to be the most important move is being able to handle conversation with them. So this is going to move me into number 3 on my list, but before we jump into that, I did need to tell you guys about our Tinder opening line formula. So our secret Tinder opening line formula is an essential for guys who especially have a hard time communicating with people on Tinder. Results have shown that people who have utilized the secret Tinder opening line formula, they have resulted in 3 times more replies than they had before utilizing this formula. So it is going to absolutely help those users out there who are having a hard time starting a conversation. So if you'd like to get more conversations that can lead to more dates, definitely check out our Tinder secret opening line formula. So this is going to move me into number 3 on my list, which is the basics of conversation. So before we get into this, you do need to realize that you're not talking to your peers here. So these cougars are not looking for somebody who is going to be younger than them mentally. They want to find somebody who is a man, but they're in a younger body. So doing things like talking about the best video games or maybe even your college frustrations is going to be something you're going to want to try and avoid. So the first thing that you really need to pay attention to is visual communication, and I'm talking about your pictures on Tinder here. So when you do show your pictures on Tinder, you want to make sure that you are showing yourself in a great light. You want to make sure that you look attractive, but you're not obnoxiously showing off your body either. You don't want to be showing off six packs or wearing any tight sweatpants or things along the lines of that, but you should definitely not look old either. So your profile might say that you're 35, but you should absolutely be sure that you look 22 in your photos so that they can know exactly what they're getting into. So the second thing you need to pay attention to is your first impressions, which here I'm talking about your Tinder bio. You definitely do not want to leave this empty. That is the worst mistake you can do no matter what kind of person that you're trying to meet up with. You want to make your Tinder bio short and to the point, and if you can add a little bit of humor or a little bit of personal touch to it, that can absolutely help your chances as well. But here's a quick example of what I think would look good. This is going to be an example of somebody who has put that their bio is 10 to 15 years older than what they actually are. So their bio would say something along the lines of, I am 15 years younger than my Tinder age, but that's on purpose. I am looking for a more mature woman who can keep up with my energy. This is clearly a straightforward remark with some underlining meanings as well. The good thing about these undertones and these layers is that because these women are a bit more mature than you, they're absolutely going to understand exactly what you mean. They're better at communicating. They know what you're trying to say to them. But none of that is as relevant as straight up communication, which is going to move me on to number 3, which is face-to-face or chat-to-chat communication. It's honestly not too different from what you would do when you are talking to your peers on Tinder. So if you were talking to somebody who is a bit more mature in the app, not really that different. So very quickly, let's go over what not to do. And one of the things you want to be sure you're not doing is just giving compliments on her looks. This is something that is across the board, something you really shouldn't be doing no matter who you're seeking on Tinder. So for an example, if you said something, I really like your eyes, they're uniquely beautiful, or something along the lines of that, she's probably heard something like that before, especially if her eyes are genuinely beautiful, and it's going to be boring to her because she's heard it so many times. You also don't want to be a brute either, so giving harder, more vulgar compliments on her body, let's say for example, is something that you don't want to be doing. It's going to turn off a ton of people and it's going to lower your chances significantly. So now we know what not to do, let's go over what you should be doing. So you want to make sure that you are coming off as confident but not arrogant at the same time. So for example, I said earlier that you shouldn't be just giving her blank compliments, and that's true, but giving her compliments and also putting something on top of that as well is going to let her know that you can give her a compliment, but you're also interested in something more. So for example, if she has a photo with her and her cat, you can tell her, hey, you look really good in this photo. What is your cat's name, by the way? So that tells her that you've given her a compliment, but you're also willing to have conversations outside of just talking about how she looks. Also, giving out a vague compliment is okay as well. So because we're talking about dating more mature users, you could say something along the lines of, hey, I've seen many 42-year-olds on this app and there's no way that you're one of them because you look too damn good. Saying something like that isn't vulgar. It's not something that is aiming to look at a specific part of her, which can turn off a lot of people, surprisingly. And it's something that goes across very well. And the last tip I have for you is something that you need to be careful with, but it's being straightforward. So you can be straightforward in a way where you want to bring them out on a date. You could say something along the lines of, hey, I think this conversation is going really well. Would you like to meet up for coffee at X place? Doing something like that is bold, but it's also going to be, you have to do it eventually. You're going to end up having to bring this off of Tinder and into the real world. If you wanted to allude that you were looking for a fling, you could say that same line, hey, I would like to meet up. Do you want to get coffee at X place? And maybe after I could get a better look at those tattoos. Saying something like that is more of an innuendo, and it's much smoother and cleaner than outright saying, hey, we should hook up, because that's going to turn off a lot of people when you word it that way. So this is going to move me into number 4 on my list, but before we jump into that, I did want to ask you guys to be sure you are hitting like and subscribe. It's Seriously, it really does help push out our videos so that more users can utilize this information from us here at Online for Love. Super duper appreciate it. So this is going to move me into number 4 on my list, which is some more tips. So these tips are going to be a bit more generic, but if you are looking to hook up with a cougar or even go out on a date with a cougar, they are going to be very confident. It's going to be a bit different than if you are hooking up with somebody who is closer to your age range. So while I'm saying, hey, you should ask them out on a date, don't be surprised if they ask you out on one first. And you also shouldn't be too worried about, and this goes across the board for all Tinder users. If you match with somebody, that match tells you that they're into you at least enough to get to know you. So don't be afraid to talk to people and to figure out where it can go from there. Now, in the sense of cougars, know that most of them are going to be looking for that fling or that hookup. So getting into a serious long-term relationship with a cougar is going to be a lot more difficult for those users who are looking for it. But it's always good to know that before you get into it as well. But no matter what kind of relationship that you're looking to have with these cougars, a great thing that you can utilize to make sure that you're getting more matches and more dates is our Tinder 101 Hub. Our Tinder 101 Hub consists of 70 plus articles that give you the information needed in order to master Tinder. And another indispensable necessity is our Tinder opening line formula. Utilizing the Tinder opening line formula, we've discovered that users have received 3 times the response rate that they had before. You can find these necessities in the links in the bio down below, along with our online dating app quiz and more. If you guys would like to see some more videos from us, be sure to check out the videos popping up on my left and right here. And I did want to ask you guys one more time to be sure you are hitting like and subscribe. Seriously, we super duper appreciate it. I'll catch you guys here next time on Online for Love. See ya.